for me, watching your show, one of the things that I find myself drawn into and kind of attracted to is all the ritual that goes along with Muslim prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I was raised Catholic, very Catholic. I'm sort of drawn to this whole concept of everyone comes together at the mosque and the rugs and the praying and the ritual of it seems very calming and welcoming to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's because I grew up with, you're going to get in this pew. It's really hard wood. It's not comfortable. I mean, there's some things about it, like for example, in Catholicism, you can pray wherever you are.
Yes.
You can literally be in an elevator and just cross yourself and you're done.
Yeah.
Like so it's very user-friendly that way.
Totally. I mean,
I don't need a rug.
Yeah.
I don't need to know which direction is east or west. You know what I mean? There's nothing. They dumbed it down so much in Catholicism.
Well, we have two different. We have that kind of like you can direct line anytime. You can just put your hands out. Like you put your hands out. I'm making this little kind of V shape, and you can just ask God for anything that's anywhere. And then you also can pray anywhere, and you see that a lot in New York. There's just like a guy in the middle of the sidewalk praying, and just in everybody's way, but he'll do it.
Right.
There's people, I've seen people just straight up, and I actually had one of my dad's friends, this must have been like 2007, he'd just stop and pray anywhere, and a couple people called the cops on him. They're like, we don't know what's going on. We were with him, and we see two officers come, kind of just because he's praying in the middle of the park.
So what did they think? Did they think he had lost his mind, or he's having an episode?
Yeah, they're like, what's going on? And then I think someone was afraid or whatever. But it's funny, like I was kind of wanting to get a cab. This was like a couple weeks ago, and there was this taxi cab pulled over, and the light was off, so it was available. But then, I looked in, and there was a couple, they were like looking in, they were like, this guy's gone crazy. And then I walk by and I look at him, and he's like praying on the steering wheel, but I could tell like with what he was doing with his head, like what point of the prayer he was in. And I was like, oh, he's almost done. Like, I'm about to get this cab. Like they went, it was a long block, and they just start walking towards Houston. I'm like, these people are going to be sweating. And I'm like, you guys don't even understand. This is the last part of the prayer. He's going to be done in 10 seconds. He finishes, he looks at me, I'm like, yo, and hop right in.
Right. So your knowledge, your deep understanding of the prayer cycle got you a cab.
Saved me from going on the subway. It was unbelievable. But yeah, the carpets are soft, so no hard wooden pews when you go in the mosque. And I think that the ritual is the most beautiful part of it to me. I think that's what people
the cleaning
want.
yourself too. I mean, I was not aware. There's so much I've learned from watching your show. And this is one of the things I really love about it. I learn a lot. The show is not, it's so far from preachy. It's so far from, trying to instruct.
Yeah.
It's about people. It's about people, really funny people, and a lot of awkward situations. And I know that you're a Larry David fan. It evokes some of the, in a great comparisons to just awkward, great comedy situations and humanity. It's just, in the program, in the show. I love the fact that I watch it, and when I come away, I feel I know not just your characters better, but I feel like I have a better understanding of what it might be like to be Egyptian, Muslim, and come here to the United States,
Yeah, well, I think like part of the design for us was making it clear that we're kind of giving people a window into some of those rituals, into some of the rules, into some of what's going on. And then the second we introduce that, we're making it really clear that everyone here is doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what makes it funny, where it's like, I'm going to show you the thing, but then also it's so clear that this is not instructive because, man, these people are dealing with their egos on level 10 and they're making a mess wherever they go. And I think that to me is what makes it a fun thing to make, because I never want to be in a situation where I need to feel like an educator or preachy or whatever, because all that shit's just like, it's anti-comedy. Yeah. But I do think what I've really enjoyed, in terms of looking at the history of comedy is I think the idea of a character going to church in and of itself is a joke. Like, it's a joke that someone would believe in the unseen. Mm-hmm. And I think here we've kind of flipped the joke where it's like, no, the unseen thing is a given. Like, that relationship isn't what we're making fun of. We're kind of making fun of everything that happens under it. And I think that has opened up situations that I feel get to be unique to our show, because we have this different machine as to like what we're interrogating. And I think, a lot of people have been like, dude, your show is my favorite show about Catholic guilt. You know?
Oh, and then, because it's all the same.
Yeah, it's guilt.
I mean, what's so funny to me is anyone who was raised in religion has these ideals that they're supposed to live up to, and then we all have the workarounds.
Yeah.
And that's the part that cracks me up, is all the characters in your show doing workarounds for, I don't drink, but I'm going to drink, or I'm not supposed to really have sex, but I'm going to have a lot of sex. But we're going to figure this out. We're going to work this out later. And I think that's every religion, is people, you're handed these list of very severe rules early on, and you can have every intention of being down with that. But then you have your, we're going to work around that. But still, I am a devout Muslim.
Of course.
But I'm going to, it's Ramadan, but I'm going to eat. Yeah. I'm going to, because that's a Big Mac. And we'll figure this out later. You know what I mean?
It's this feeling of like constantly like refinancing with God, you know? And I think that's really like...
That's a great way to put it, yes. Yes, and it's just by the by the end, you're just terribly in debt. You're just, I think we're all doing that. You know, we're all constantly saying, look, I'm going to just put this on my tab.
Yeah.
Just put this on my tab, God, and we'll figure this out. Because I just had a ninesome. I had sex with 8 different people. I had a ninesome. And then I had a cocaine enema. But we're going to figure this out. So, because I love you, God, and trust me, I'm very devout.
We're going to figure this out that's the energy, you know, for I think that's what keeps us all going.
I love it's something that fascinates me, because I see it in Catholicism as well, the double standard with men and women. Because it's something that I saw growing up, where, Ramy, you party, you go out with your friends, and your parents think, oh, that Ramy, it's just adorable. And then your sister, who's I think on the show, she's 25, 26, and this very attractive, modern woman. If she wants to do anything, it's, where are you going? You have to be back by 9. And that exists. When I was growing up, I know my mom, like my brothers and I would be chewing gum.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't say a word. And then if one of my sisters started chewing gum, she'd be like, spit that gum out.
Yeah.
You don't want people to think you're trash. Yeah. You're not some common ragamuffin. That's how my mom spoke.
Gum chewing is very ragamuffin behavior.
It is.
Yeah.
And we won't have that.
Just to be clear.
There'll be no ragamuffery around here. So... just work that into Ramy. Wants one of the characters to start talking about, I'm no ragamuffin. And people say, the writing is off this year. What happened? And then you see the Conan O'Brien writing credit at the end.
Special cultural consultant.
Special cultural consultant. Please put me in as a special cultural consultant.
Done.
Yeah. Just in one of the prayers, there's many mentions of ragamuffin, tomfoolery, chicanery. People are, I think they lost the thread this year. What happened? Did you watch to the end? I did. Did you see the Conan O'Brien cultural credit? That might be a problem.
No, but what you're talking about is amazing to me, because I think that is something that, in making the show, so many people will relate to that thing, even that disparity between men and women, because obviously, and I think we see this more and more, especially lately, that's a real American problem as well. I think the way that in the microcosm of a family, how are the sons treated and how are the daughters treated? Mm-hmm. And it's something that I think we put on, this Muslim family. And I think that obviously there's some comfort in kind of this, like, I think there's an American comfort in being able to say, oh, wow, like, look how that is in the Middle East, because there's kind of all these things of like, oh, women there can't drive, and then you kind of start to break that down and you're like, well, no, that's only just in Saudi. And then you're like, oh, wait, well, in Saudi now women can drive, and abortion seems to be just about as hard in both places, Right, and then you start to kind of zoom out and you're like, whoa, we have a lot of these problems. And I think that's part of why the show resonates, because it's at first you're like, oh, I'm learning about this other thing, but then you dig into it and you're like, oh, wait, this is in my family too. This is here too. And I think that starts to kind of open up what I hope could be a bridge.